From the Oregon State University Extension Service, this is Pollination, a podcast that tells the stories of researchers, land managers, and people like you who are making bold strides to improve the health of pollinators. I'm your host, Dr. Adoni Malathopoulos, Associate Professor of Pollinator Health in the Department of Horticulture. It's the Easter weekend in Oregon, and spring has returned in earnest, and that means it's time for my two favorite activities, beekeeping and gardening for bees. Now, my next guest is committed to making sure that everybody can do both those activities well. Brad York is the president of the Tillamook Beekeepers Association, and the association has undertaken this really remarkable project, the Apiary and Garden Learning Center in Tillamook. Not only does it have a demonstration apiary and lots of bee suits for people to learn how to beekeep or to learn the wonders of apiculture, but it also, and they're in the fundraising phase for this, of putting together a garden that exemplifies the key principles for making an effective pollinator landscape. This is a great episode. I love talking to the beekeeping associations here in Oregon. They all have amazing initiatives that they've gotten off the ground, but I really think this takes the cake. So without further ado, let's head over to Tillamook to talk with Brad York this week on Pollination. Well, Brad, welcome to Pollination.
I'm excited. This is going to be fun. I've heard great things about your podcast, and your reputation precedes you, obviously. And this is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I do remember us talking about doing a podcast all the way back to the wonderful Oregon State Beekeepers Association meeting that we had in Bend, Oregon last October.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was a great meeting. It was so fun to meet everybody and see everybody and to do it in Central Oregon.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good opportunity.
And, one thing about that meeting that was notable is that the Central Oregon Beekeeping Association, the Bee Club, took a role in helping to organize it. And I guess it raises the issue of bee clubs. And you are the president of the Tillamook Beekeeping Association. Make the for the listener there who is trying to learn beekeeping from YouTube and, suffering, make the case for the bee clubs.
So Tillamook Beekeepers Association actually started based upon my research in 1971. And
here I was born, I'll just point out.
So I was doing well in 1971. I was married. My first son was born in 1971. But I was not in Tillamook at the time. But that association was only about 20 members at its best up until around 1910 or 2010. I mean, 20. And then it started to grow a little. And in 2015, when I first got involved with it, it had about 40 or 50 members.
Wow, what growth. Amazing.
It's just amazing, yeah. But then it, not necessarily because of my leadership, but I became the president in 2016. And since then, we've grown. Today, we have 124 members.
That is remarkable.
So the beauty of the association and why a bee club, because there's a lot of beekeepers say, I don't need a club. I've been doing beekeeping all my life. I don't need to join a club. And that's fine. I understand that. But for the new beekeeper, particularly, they don't know what to take care of. It's not a passive hobby. Maybe it used to be. Mm-hmm. Back in the 70s, I hear stories that people that kept bees put a box of bees in their backyard, and the only time they opened the hive was to get the honey in August. That's not happening anymore. Today, you have to be attentive. You have to be in your hives a couple of times a month throughout the bee season. And you have to be treating them to protect them from this evil mite called the Varroa destructor mite. You have to make sure they're fed well early in the spring and late in the fall or over the winter. You have to protect them in the winter, to make sure they're insulated and ventilated. And if you're not doing those kind of activities, your bees are going to die. In fact, Last year, we purchased 132 nukes, a nucleus of bees, for various beekeepers. Some people bought as many as 10. Most people just bought one or two. So that was represented about 65 people bought 132 nukes. Our statistics show us that about 75% of those are now dead.
Oh,
because or 25% are still alive. And my assessment of those circumstances is that they're not being taken care of. The bees that are dying are people that belong to people who didn't take care of their bees, meaning that they didn't treat them for mites.
mm-hmm.
They didn't feed them properly in the fall or over the winter. And they're either starving to death, perhaps freezing to death. Maybe 5 or 6 of those, by the way, were lost because of bears.
Oh, dear.
Whatever windstorms have blown over a couple of hives. We've had some pretty strong winds out here on the coast. So the neglect of the hive itself can come in the form of weather or bad health conditions because of this mite, or lack of food. And if they don't have anything to eat, they didn't have enough honey stored, or they don't have enough nutrients, they're going to starve to death. And so we have to take care of them. And to prove that we can take care of them and be successful, as a club, we own 13 hives. Well, 11 of those have survived. The 2 that didn't survive started out, we knew they weren't strong. We tried to make them strong as we could in the winter, and we didn't have high hopes that they would make it through the winter. And sure enough, here in the middle of March, they're not alive, but that was kind of anticipated. But the other 11 are strong. And in fact, today it was in this 59, 60 degrees, sunny, and all the bees were out. It was just glorious. They think it's spring. and this weekend it's going to snow. So they're going to be confused. But they're healthy and strong right now. So the point is that if you take care of them and learn how to take care of them, the bees will survive. And so for people that don't belong to clubs, how do you know how to take care of them?
Well, and this is a great segue with what I wanted to talk to you about today. There is you can listen to lectures in a typical bee club. You'll hear lectures and you'll talk to mentors, but there really is no substitute for going out with an experienced person through colonies. And I've been so excited to learn about this initiative by the Tillamook beekeepers to create a learning center. Tell us a little bit about the learning center in Apiary.
So the point you just made is exactly what drove us to our learning center in Apiary. I as a new beekeeper 7 years ago, I was clueless. I didn't know what I was doing. And I just learned trial and error, many errors. And I've always felt that a new beekeeper needs to have a hands-on experience, not just come to the meeting and learn what we're doing and then go home and take care of your bees based upon what you've learned at the meeting. So we created this apiary. We got a piece of land donated to us by the Port of Tillamook Bay, which is a federal facility. It was the old naval base during World War II. The blimp, mm-hmm. They had blimps out here to protect or to survey the ocean to make sure the Japanese weren't coming in to attack us. And we had these blimps. Really? Have you seen this big blimp museum in Tillamook? You can't miss it. It's the largest wooden structure in America. In fact, I think it's the largest wooden structure in the world. But it's huge, and it's no longer a military base, but it still belongs to the federal government. And they gave us a half-acre plot to create an apiary. And so we created this spot. We leveled it off. We put a gravel base on it where we could, and built a fence, a beautiful little fence around the apiary so we could have as many as 15 to 20 hives. And as I mentioned a few minutes ago, we went into the winter with 13. Today we have 11. And they're all doing well. And the beauty of that is during the season, meaning when this bee season is spring to fall, March through August, September at the latest. Every Saturday morning, we have what we call a hive dive. And new beekeepers and more experienced beekeepers or whoever can join us every Saturday morning at our hive dive as we go into a few of those hives.
Oh, great.
We kind of rotate them. We do the odd number hives one Saturday. The next Saturday, we'll do the even number hives. And then, so no more than once every 2 weeks are we getting into the hives, because you don't want to interfere with them too much.
Yeah.
But new beekeepers now can come out and say, I don't know what you're talking about when you say brood pattern, or what am I looking for when I'm looking for what's the difference in a larva and an egg, and how do I know my queen's doing okay? Well, come on out to our hive dives on Saturday morning, and we'll show you, and you can see it up front and close and learn from experience. And then
there's nothing like holding the frame, that you can see a video, but when you're holding it and you position the light and there's something that can't be replicated.
Right. And you can say, I can show you a picture of what an egg and larva and a healthy bee looks like. But when you're holding the frame and you can hear the bees and smell them, you smell the beautiful honey and the wax, and you can see the activity, you're learning. And there's no better way to learn. And so our hope is that by doing these, the new beekeepers and the experienced beekeepers are all learning, and we're going to have much better success in keeping our bees alive. In addition, we've been given classes to the junior high school here, middle school, for the last 2 or 3 years. The 7th and 8th graders, we give a class, 45-minute presentation on here's the bee, here's everything you can learn about a bee in a PowerPoint slide. Mm-hmm. Well, this year we've already scheduled early in May. Those 7th and 8th graders are going to come out to our apiary, and we have enough bee suits to suit them all up.
Oh, wow.
And the teachers and their parents, if necessary. We have 75 bee suits, and they're anywhere in size from a 4-year-old child to a full-grown adult like myself, and I'm a big man. Mm-hmm. We even have a 5X suit. So
okay, so you can suit anybody up.
We can suit anybody up.
Oh, and great.
Then they can all stand there next to a hive. We open it up, start pulling frames, and say, look, here's the queen. Or here's a queen's laying pattern. We can't necessarily see the queen on this frame, but we can see that she's laying eggs. And here's her larva. Here's some capped larva. What does that mean? And here's some problems. And this is what we have to do about this problem. This might be chalk brood, or what do you do about chalk brood? And so we can actually hands-on teach people what it looks like, what they need to look for a healthy hive, an unhealthy hive, and then help them learn to treat the mites or treat the bees so the mites won't destroy the bees, and then feed them if necessary. Early spring, we're going to start feeding them. In fact, we've actually started feeding our bees already. So this is a great learning opportunity.
I was thinking that maybe our listeners don't, first of all, I love that, because I imagine a lot of education, both for people who want to become beekeepers, but also for public education these days, doesn't involve real things. You're not like handling real objects. It must be so wonderful. But also, our listeners may not know where Tillamook is. They know the dairy, but they don't know the city. And I imagine having this kind of a resource in the educational system in Tillamook, there's probably not, there's the dairy, but there's probably not a lot of places where youth can get experience with insects for sure. But,
half the kids in town know what a dairy is because they live on them. We actually have the Tillamook Creamery has 95 dairies, I believe, here in Tillamook County. We have more cows than people in Tillamook. But from an educational perspective, so not just the middle schools, we've done the middle schools and even elementary schools in the past, but now the high schools and even the Tillamook Bay Community College have already set up visits to our apiaries for students from 7-year-old children to young college kids are coming out and seeing firsthand what a bee is, what a honey bee looks like, and what a hive looks like, and how bees make honey. Instead of learning about it in a classroom, they can actually come out and watch it and see it. And it's a brilliant opportunity. So the other part of that is we have a garden around this apiary, this half-acre plot that they gave.
All right, because you have half acres. It's more than just for the 20 colonies. You have more space there.
The space for the 20 colonies is, I think it's 30 by 70.
Okay.
And the rest of the half acre is intended to be a pollination garden. We've already planted 12 bee-friendly flowering trees. We've planted about 20 bee-friendly flowering shrubs, and flowers are the next step, and pathways where people can walk. We're going to put some picnic benches out there, and even picnic tables, so people can come out and see, oh, I can plant this pollination garden in my own home. All of these plants and trees and shrubs and flowers grow well in this environment here in Tillamook. So go home and plant the same thing in your home, in your backyard or front yard or both, and let bees and other insects that are pollinators enjoy the fruits of your beautiful yard. A lot of people have beautiful green grass lawns, and they're great, but they're deserts to pollinators. There's nothing there to forage. And so
I think that's great. I think people need to see as well how you can, there's something of real high value to seeing a well put together landscape, well designed. But your tweak is that everything that is in there is pumping out nectar and pollen.
Right. And so we do have, by the way, our garden is not just going to be haphazard. It has been professionally designed by landscape architect. And we have beautiful drawings and pictures of what it should look like. We even have a walkthrough video animated based upon that design with new software. You can create the design and turn it into an animation. And that's available to see if anybody's interested in looking at it. It's like a at our website, tillamookbeekeepers.org. And it's available readily, easily to find on the website, these videos about our pollination garden, our apiary and garden learning center.
This is amazing. Yeah. I imagine at the same time, coming up with a landscape design and laying it out is not, and just the apiary, not inconsequential costs. How are you able to sort of put this together? How were the funds coming for all of this?
So the coming up with the design didn't cost a whole lot of money.
Okay.
Because my wife, we're retired now, but my wife was once a landscape designer.
Oh, okay.
And our son, one of our sons, we have 5 sons, and a couple of daughters too, by the way. So, but one of our sons is a landscape architect. He followed in his mother's footsteps. He lives down in San Diego. And between my wife and they came up with this beautiful design. And then he plugs it into this sexy software that landscape architects have. And it creates the design. Not only does he and she created the design, but the software will actually spit out how many plants you need to fill this particular spot. So let's say lavender. We have a line of lavender across the parking lot, the front of the parking lot. It's 75 feet long. Well, the software tells you need X amount of lavender plants to fill this spot in. And so based upon the whole drawing, the software spits it out and said, this is how many plants you need, this is how many trees you need, how many shrubs, how many linear feet of curbing, how many 100 yards of gravel you need to make the paths. And so it spits out a cost. Well, to do it the way we want to do it, it's at least $60,000.
Yeah. Okay.
So what we've done thus far has not been with that kind of money. We don't have that kind of money yet. We've been doing the bits and pieces of it. The trees, for example, were donated trees, manual labor that was donated by Bee Club members. we planted the trees, and we planted them last fall. And that kind of stuff is happening right now. So we're still looking for donations, hopefully a couple of large donators to make it possible to complete this garden, to make it a beautiful garden, not just an educational facility for apiary, but a beautiful garden for pollination. And it's available to public. It's on public land. They can come and see it. Anybody can drive by and look at it, or schools can set up, or not just schools. Other organizations like the Kiwanis Club has set up a tour to come out and visit our apiary. Well, when it's a garden, they can come out and walk through the garden, enjoy the garden, and come into the apiary, and we'll suit them up and teach them all about bees. And this is what bees are doing. And look, they're making honey. You can see it. You can even stick your finger in there and taste it. You know, it's hands-on, touch and feel experience is much better than any book learning you'll ever have. So
that is amazing. And don't underestimate, I imagine you don't, the kind of traffic and interest there'll be. The example that I always think to myself, and I need to do a podcast with those folks, is at the Portland Community College, the Rock Creek Master Gardener site, where they've really put a lot of thought, as you are, into sort of the design and the educational opportunities. And man, the people go through there, get ideas. It becomes a real catalyst in the community for generating, more pollinator habitat, but also for people just like probably don't know where honey comes from. And they've never, they know bees make it, but it's all abstract to them. This kind of like fills in the gaps.
Nothing is more motivating too. My wife's an avid gardener, and when she watches a British television show called Gardener's World with Monty Don, she gets so excited and motivated. She can't wait to get out in the yard the next day and start gardening. Not necessarily applying what she's learned, just to go out and garden because it's motivational. And if every time we have the opportunity as a husband and wife over the last few decades, 6 decades, to see a beautiful garden, it's motivating.
Yes.
It even motivates me, who I'm not necessarily a gardener. I'm a gardener by marriage.
You're in it deep then.
I'm in it deep. But it's motivational to see a beautiful garden and say, we can do this at home. We don't have to just go to these beautiful public places where somebody's created something beautiful. We can go home and do it in our own yard. And so that's a beautiful aspect of it. So in addition to teaching people how to be good beekeepers, we can teach people how to be good stewards of the earth and grow pollination gardens and create a beautiful place too. It's not like you have to create something that, we're going to save the earth by making something ugly. No, we're going to save the earth by making something beautiful, that kind of thing.
Well, I am really looking forward to coming out and visiting sometime this year. But for our listeners who want to get more information about the Learning Center, or who might, if want to make a contribution to help in this effort, where can they get more information? Again,
TillamookBeekeepers.org. HTTPS www.tillamookbeekeepers.org. There's a tab on our website about our pollination or our learning center. And
is it? Oh, just a quick question. Is it open even when there's nobody there? Can you?
Yeah, you can. People have visited and come back and talk to me later and told me about it and saying, I can't wait until the garden's finished. When can I come and see the bees? And of course, I tell them you can't see the bees until it's warm enough. And it's starting to get warm enough. Today was warm enough, but winter's not here. I'm not done yet. So
the end is in sight. I can see it coming.
Yeah, I can feel it in the air. Spring is here almost. We had snow on Wednesday, and today I was golfing, so it's almost here.
Well, Brad, thank you so much. I think this is a real showcase of what the beekeeping associations in the state can do. It's just a real amazing initiative, and I'm so glad you were able to take time on a very sunny day to talk to our listeners.
Well, it was my pleasure. I'm looking forward to it. You are scheduled to come and see us in May.
Oh, yeah, I'm coming in May.
Yeah. We're looking forward to that visit too. And May will be an excellent opportunity to come out and actually get into the hives with us at our apiary, and you can see firsthand what we're doing at the apiary. And see the future of the garden as well.
I am so looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Brad.
Hey, it's fun talking with you.
Thank you so much for listening. Show notes with links from each episode are available at the website pollinationpodcast.oregonstate.edu. I also love hearing from you, and there's a form at the website where you can pop in and say hello and give me feedback. If you want to support the show, remember to leave a rating on iTunes, Spotify, or whatever podcast mothership you use. And finally, if you have the means and you want to help support my lab's effort to document bee biodiversity in Oregon, visit OregonBeeAtlas.org and follow down to the donate button where you can make a tax-deductible donation to the Jerry and Judith Paul Native Pollinator Endowment. Every little bit helps. See you next episode.